Have you seen the movie Oppenheimer?
I have not seen the movie Oppenheimer.
No, nor have I. Bobby?
Nope. I've not seen either of those two movies. No.
No, nor have I. Nor have I. I'm waiting out for Sound of Freedom.
All right, yeah.
Which will hopefully be in the UK soon. Now, by the way, if you've tuned into this podcast hoping for some movie reviews, I do apologise. We're sorry to disappoint you.
Yeah.
Neither of us have watched these current blockbuster movies, but we've heard a lot about them, and Oppenheimer has been on our radar this week because there has been a story about this. By the way, if you're not familiar, Oppenheimer is a $650 million worldwide has been earned so far in this film. It's a very popular film. It is about the development of the atomic bomb. But if you were to watch this film in the Middle East with Arabic subtitles, the company that has produced the subtitles for this film have translated the word for Jew to stranger.
Wow.
Throughout the film. So they have literally removed every word, every mention of Jew.
Right.
Okay. Which is quite significant. I mean, there were quite a number of characters, and of course it's a true story, who were Jewish. So the word Jew appears a number of times. They replaced all mentions, replaced it with stranger. Now this is a Lebanese-based company, and perhaps you think, well, you might not be surprised that we hear so many things.
Yeah.
But what I think is surprising is that the Universal Pictures hasn't come out saying, oh, we're going to change this. Let me read to you. This is a story in the Jewish JNS, Jewish News Syndicate. Universal Pictures representative told The National that it followed guidelines of Middle East censor boards. Quote, there are topics we usually don't tackle, and that is one of them. This is Universal Pictures.
Wow.
We cannot use the word Jew, the direct translation in Arabic. Otherwise, it may be edited or they ask us to remove it, a representative said. In order to avoid that, so people can enjoy the movie... Sorry, I'm smiling because I know what's coming.
Yeah.
In order to avoid that, so people can enjoy the movie without having so many cuts, we would just change the translation a little bit, the spokesperson added.
Wow.
And then the JNS article concludes, Jew appears many times in the Quran.
Right. That's funny.
So,
yeah,
a little bit of tongue-in-cheek
a little bit
by the reporter there. But anyway, on a more serious point, this is not just some Lebanese company which is doing some Arabic subtitles for this movie for some Middle East, for some cinemas in the Middle East. This has basically had the support of Universal Pictures.
Yeah. So Universal Pictures have proven...
It's complicit.
Yeah, they've proven that they haven't got morals. They haven't... Yeah. They're not standing up for the Western values that they say they promote.
Yes.
One of them being, not racism, not discrimination.
Yeah.
I think it's unfortunately it's a common thing that happens within the Middle East. We know from when the Wonder Woman movies were released, they were banned from multiple countries because Gal Gadot is Jewish and Israeli, and so they wouldn't allow those movies to be shown because they wouldn't allow it. I just think that's absolutely crazy, though, that they've removed the word Jew and changed it to stranger, and then Universal Studios has approved it. I cannot get over that.
Know.
I think there should be a bigger outrage and backlash to that, not because of the Arab countries doing that, but because Universal Studios has allowed
exactly
it. Like, it should be against
exactly. Universal Studios should contact this Lebanese company, which is probably a third-party company, and say, please insert the word Jew.
Yeah, and if you don't use our movie.
No,
I will break rights with you. We'll break the agreement with you. I think as well, like, there's a big thing at the moment where there's a Jewish character being displayed, where there's talk of the prosthetic nose, is it? And there's sort of like, big controversy over that. And actually the family of the individual have said, no, it's fine. We're okay with this depiction of him. We've approved it. There's no controversy there. But there's this big
fury
about that here because it's alleged racism when actually there's real racism happening, approved by Universal Studios, and the world is like not even aware that that's going on.
Well, the main character in this film is Robert Oppenheimer, of the movie is named after. He was Jewish.
Yeah.
Okay, he was Jewish, and also Albert Einstein also features.
Yeah, who was Jewish.
Jewish. So, really, Universal Studios should grow a backbone and change this. Now, it doesn't affect us.
Nope.
But if this sentiment of wanting to replace the Jewish people in the subtitle, if that's not addressed,
it's an attempt to erase, not just replace.
No, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
It's a manifestation of a much bigger problem.
Yeah, which is they want to see the erasure of Israel.
Yes,
and
of
even
Jews.
And also of Jews.
Yeah,
and this is one thing. We have to be careful. Obviously, not every Muslim is anti-Semitic. No, believes that. But unfortunately, even within the teachings of the Quran and with their end-time theology, there is, verses which speak. Oh, not sorry, it's not Quran. It's the
Hadith.
Hadith. That's the one. The words
The
of Allah.
Hadith,
And unfortunately, it's within almost every translation of the Hadith, and especially within the most popular translations of the Hadith, where it does mention about the war against the Jews. And there's the verse which says about how the tree will call out and say, behind me there's a Jew hiding, come and kill him. The rocks will cry out. Not the rocks will cry out, that's the Bible verse, but the rocks will say it, the trees will say it, that there's a Jew behind me, come and kill him. And actually there is a belief within many Muslims believe that the end times will not actually happen until there is a war against the Jewish people. And so it's a very concerning thing. I think it shows the danger of anti-Semitism, the danger of people being deceived against Israel and the Jewish people. And it's a very real threat, because ultimately this doesn't just stay within a movie and like one translation. It actually goes into lots of other things.
Yes.
And you mentioned Lebanon. Lebanon, as we know, is pretty much controlled by Hezbollah. Hezbollah is a terrorist organization that is controlled fully by Iran, and their whole entire existence is the destruction of Israel. And so when you think of it that way, Universal Studios has basically bowed down to the terrorist run country that wants to erase the Jewish people literally, and they're doing it in the movie. Like, it's just a small part of a much bigger and wider picture. That's what I'm trying to say.
It is, but we have to address these small parts. Because as I say, it is a cultural thing. The movie itself is a. There'll be people maybe watching this movie who don't even, in the Middle East, who don't even realize that the characters are Jewish because of this. Yeah, and yet, it might be helpful. It might change some of their, especially younger people. It might actually challenge their preconceived ideas of what they think Jews to be in terms of what they've been taught.
Yeah.
So
that's
here
an interesting
are some,
thought.
Here are some characters, acclaimed, successful, important historical characters.
Yeah. Especially Albert Einstein.
Yeah, Albert Einstein. And yet, if don't realise that they're Jewish, and their only perception of Jews are what those that are being taught them by their terror sympathising, leaders and teachers and etc., then actually this is part of the problem. So
you've actually made a very good point there, because this could actually be something that breaks down those barriers.
Yes.
Because we know of Muslims who have hated Israel, wanted Israel destroyed. They've gone to Israel and then they've suddenly realized, actually, I was wrong.
Yeah.
And so Albert Einstein, majority of people on planet Earth do not know he was Jewish. Even less people will know that he almost became the first president of Israel. He was very pro-Israel. He was Jewish. He was offered that position, but he said, actually, he's not very good with people. So he didn't want, he's much better with, obviously, his scientific brain didn't like. So he said no.
Wow.
And so Ben Gurion, but yeah, he could have been the first prime minister, I should say, not president. Ben Gurion took the position. So we have Ben Gurion Airport.
Yeah.
Actually, it could have been Einstein Airport,
Yeah.
and the whole world would have known that Einstein was, pro-Israel and Jewish. And yeah, it's just very interesting that most people won't know that. And yet Einstein is probably spoken of very highly in Arabic schools and universities around the world, with people who just have no idea that he was Jewish and pro-Israel.